Coming up on Global Business, supporting the private economy. China issues a guideline to boost the growth of the private economy and vows to further improve its business environment. Stronger relations between China and Algeria. We take a closer look at deeper ties in more areas as Algeria's president continues his state visit to China. And Turkey tightens monetary policy. The country's central bank hikes interest rates by 250 basis points to support a weak currency and battle high inflation. Welcome, everyone, to Global Business here on CGTN. I'm Michael Wong in Beijing. Well, China says it will increase policy support for the private sector. That's according to joint guidelines from the Communist Party of China's Central Committee and the State Council released on Wednesday. With 8 categories and 33 regulations, the guidelines provide various measures to promote the economic development of the private economy, including improving the market-oriented reorganization plan, encouraging private enterprises to revitalize existing assets and recover funds, encouraging private firms to revitalize their stock of assets, as well as increasing investment in research and development. The moves indicate that the country sees the private sector as a new force for promoting Chinese-style modernization and an important foundation for high-quality development. And China's policymakers have provided fresh details into this latest round of policy support for the private economy at a news conference right here in Beijing on Thursday. Our Gao Ang reports.
Improving the business environment, increasing policy support, and strengthening legal guarantees for private enterprises. Officials say these are some of the main measures driving China's efforts to bolster growth in the private economy.
The guideline requires improvements to the framework of fair competition and the implementation of policy, insisting on equally treating enterprises of all types of ownership and strengthening the enforcement of anti-monopoly laws.
Official data says the share of tax revenue from private enterprises increased from under 50% to almost 60% from 2012 to 2021. Over 50% of foreign trade was also conducted by private enterprises in 2022. And since 2019, the number has been higher than other types of business.
In terms of increasing policy support for the private economy, the guideline focuses on enhancing the accuracy, stability, effectiveness, and coordination of policies to respond to the concerns and demands of enterprises and improving the financing support policy system.
The guidelines stipulate Beijing will also enhance the protection of intellectual property rights and the legitimate rights and interests of entrepreneurs as part of its legal guarantees. Officials say China will work to remove the barriers in market access and enhance fair competition as part of broader efforts to improve the environment for the private economy. Gao Ang, CGTN, Beijing.
And private businesses are reacting very positively to the government's latest efforts to boost the sector. Ma Huateng, or Pony Ma, chairman of tech giant Tencent, saying the guideline plays, quote, an inspiring and guiding role in boosting the confidence of private companies and encourages bold development. Lei Jun, chairman and CEO of smart device maker Xiaomi, saying the document has boosted the determination of companies to focus on their main fields, incentivizing them to contribute to China's tech modernization drive. And conglomerate Wanda Group has expressed support for that guideline, saying they will do their bit in helping the country expand employment and promote consumption. In the meantime, local governments are rolling out measures to shore up the private sector with a focus on cutting costs for companies. In southeastern Jiangsu province, officials sat down with local companies looking for ways to further invigorate new energy industries. Neighboring Zhejiang province has set up expert committees to advise entrepreneurs on technical know-how. Zhejiang province is also providing policy support for companies to engage in digital transformation as a way to bring down costs. The move aims to spur wider adoption of next-generation technologies. In inland Shanxi province, the government has decided to provide a supportive administrative environment for companies to innovate and get funded. And in coastal Shandong province, local customs authorities there are keen on facilitating more trade involving private companies. The private sector there contributing to over 70% of the province's total trade. Meanwhile, China has seen a surge in financial support for high-tech small companies. Our Zhu Zhu has more.
What comes to your mind when referring to battery manufacturers? Many people may only think of those leading companies like CATL and CALB. Well, one company you may not have heard of is Sikeqi Engineering Automation. It ranked second last year in terms of market share for lithium battery module and pack equipment.
The tool on this robotic arm is different, so the function is also different. Some can grab and some can cut. Previously, the basic data of this software, especially deep learning software, was all from foreign countries. Later, we founded our own research institute and developed independent technologies.
So this is their goods shelf, but it is not just a normal goods shelf. You can see there are many trays there. There are different QR codes on them. After those computers scan those QR codes, it can go in and out automatically without any human labors.
For many high-tech companies like Sikeqi, it was difficult to seek funding at the beginning.
When we started our company in 2019, the overall scale was relatively small. Traditional banking industry requires asset collateral, but we're a light asset high-tech enterprise, so it was very difficult to obtain credit.
Look at all these very giant and expensive equipment around me. You can imagine how important it is for a high-tech startup to borrow the money to seek funding in their first step. Well, the good thing is there are already many banks are designing their new ways of calculation and assessment system for borrowing money for those high-tech startups.
We launched a method called Technology Flow. It evaluates the company's performance in areas such as patents and technology applications. Sikeqi has won many awards for advanced engineering. This helps it gain bonus points in our evaluation.
Apart from unique technologies, Sikeqi said stable market demand is also key to receiving funding.
It is also working with many leading new energy vehicle companies such as Geely and Shanghai Automotive to do those car assemblies. Let's take a look.
We conduct research, development, and production based entirely on customer demands. We engage in in-depth communication with customers and then work with them to develop new technologies.
Official data shows that in the first quarter, 45.9% of high-tech startups have acquired loans. That is 1.3 percentage points higher than that of the previous quarter. To accelerate the trend, Zhang called for financial organizations to launch more advanced evaluation systems to provide better financial aid to them. Zhu, CGTN, Ningde in Fujian Province.
And up next here on Global Business. Stronger relations between China and Algeria. We take a closer look at deeper ties in more areas. That's as Algeria's president continues his state visit to China.
We are all connected. Across borders, across continents, connected by ideas, a shared humanity. Stay connected.
To China-Algeria relations, where Algerian President Abdelmadjid Tebboune will wrap up his state visit to China on Friday. On Thursday, he went to the Shenzhen Special Economic Zone to learn more about its development experience. Our Xu Hua has more.
The Algerian president's visit in Shenzhen is aimed at understanding the development experience of the Shenzhen Special Economic Zone. It is often said that the miracle of Shenzhen is a kind of emblem that demonstrates the huge transformations and the successes brought about by the China's reform and opening up. The city is also a leading global technological hub dubbed as China's Silicon Valley. It is home to the headquarters of many multinational companies such as Tencent, Huawei, and BYD. Earlier, the Algerian president said his country is willing to learn from China's development experience and further deepen cooperation with China in various fields like investment, mining, construction, and industry. So Shenzhen's experience could be an inspiration for Algeria. We know last November, China and Algeria signed a 5-year strategic agreement to strengthen communication and bilateral relations. So this week's visit in Beijing and as well as in Shenzhen is another chance to turn the two countries' high-level political trust into tangible economic cooperation results. And the visit will help Algeria accelerate its pace of industrialization.
Meanwhile, business ties between the two countries have been growing steadily since Algeria joined the Belt and Road Initiative back in 2014. China is now Algeria's top trade and investment partner. Our Adel Al-Maroui has more.
The comprehensive strategic partnership between China and Algeria saw strong development in the North African nation's economy. Despite Algiers' free trade agreement with the European Union, China quickly grew to be Algeria's #1 partner, surpassing France, the country's main #1 partner for over a century. Trade between the two countries reached a record $8 billion in 2019. In recent years, Chinese companies have built housing and infrastructure projects worth $32 billion.
We are very proud to develop our relations between Algeria and the Republic Popular of China. We hope to improve our relation between us in different areas. It's better China to give help and different technical of knowledge, technology, finance, and other protocols of different development and growing economy.
The partnership between the two countries saw Algeria's non-petroleum exports jump from just $1 billion to reach an estimated $13 billion by the end of this year. Chinese firms have recently agreed to invest in producing phosphate fertilizers, mine iron ore, and further enhance Algeria's capacity to transport and export these products in their raw or upscaled forms. Algeria is a vital station for the Belt and Road Initiative. That's why China is building the biggest port in Africa there, worth $6 billion. It is also creating a highway connector and railroad, which will transport Algerian goods from south of the country up north. The benefits of this partnership will expand to reach countries like Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso, and Chad, whose products can find a way to the Mediterranean Sea and from there to Europe.
China is leading important global initiatives like the Global Development Initiative. It promotes balanced principles that serve global stability and peace. Algeria is invested in its goals because it's a positive initiative that creates benefits for all as partners. I believe it is what the world is missing nowadays. This is how to create a developmental culture in the world.
Adel Al-Maroui, CGTN.
Now, during his state visit to China, Algerian President Abdelmadjid Tebboune said that Algeria stands ready to deepen its comprehensive strategic partnership with China. So let's get more on China-Algeria relations and bring in Dr. He Wenping, a research fellow at the Institute of West Asian and African Studies at the Chinese Academy of Social Sciences. Dr. He, welcome to the program. So the Algerian president wraps up his state visit to China tomorrow. What are the main and new outcomes you think achieved by his state visit to China so far?
Well, yes, Algeria is the country established diplomatic ties with China even before it got independence. So we established diplomatic ties in 1958, and the country declared independence is in the year 1962. So this is very unique, even in the contemporary international relations. So actually, also Chinese medical team also sent to the first African country, that's also Algeria, in the year 1963. So based on this very early and very strong this friendship, Algeria President Tebboune this time paid a state visit to China. Of course, we will further deepen our comprehensive strategic partnership. Actually, this comprehensive strategic partnership was built in the year 2014. Also, Algeria becoming the very first Arabic country to establish this this is the very highest level of this partnership building. In China, when we're building those partnership with all the other countries, like a comprehensive strategic partnership is the highest one already. So now, based on this very strong partnership building this time around, I think President Tabon will further deepen this strong relationship and also expand our bilateral relationship in most, more those areas. Because before we focus more on infrastructure and also focus on this resources industry, and we also have a very strong medical cooperation and education and the cultural cooperation. But nowadays, with this post-pandemic era, and also we need to develop like a digital economy and also further develop like aerospace industry. We used to help Argentina to launch a communication satellite even in the earlier 2017. But now we need to do more. And also scientific research, those frontier, those AI, even AI, big data, computer. So all those new areas. For example, Argentina President Tabon now visiting Shenzhen. So Shenzhen is also the frontier city leading Chinese those ICT industry forward. Also hosting like a big giant company like Huawei, Tencent. They're all headquartered based in Shenzhen. So this visit by Argentina President Tabon to Shenzhen also shows now Argentina wants to further have a cooperation with China in those very frontier, those technical, those high technical industries. Back to you, Michael.
Right, so we can expect more health cooperation, for example, more cooperation when it comes to science and technology. And Dr. He, during this trip, President Tabon reiterated Algeria's desire to join the BRICS grouping, which includes, of course, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. So what do you think are the implications and significance of Algeria's potential membership in BRICS?
Yes, Argentina has a strong desire to be a member in the BRICS, this mechanism. Also, Argentina also wants to be the member like in the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, SCO. So which means Argentina now is eager to diversify its diplomacy. They don't want to just tied with European countries or tie themselves with some other Eastern dominated bloc. They want to look west and also look east. So because Argentina, given its three kinds of title on its head, number one is the biggest size of territory, African country. The size is the biggest one. And also he is the Arabic country, very important one in the Arabic world. And also he is very influential, those Mediterranean Sea. Those countries around the Mediterranean Sea, many countries are there. They are very close with the European countries. And also Argentina has very rich those gas resources. Now has been very much wanted from European countries, especially like French President Macron had paid many visits to Argentina ever since the Ukraine crisis broke out. So given all those above I mentioned, those factors, that's why Argentina wants to diversify its diplomatic, those partnership and join those emerging countries, this club. Like, for example, BRICS, it will fully play its diplomatic role, not only in Africa, in Arabic world, and also in the international stage. That will also offer them a closer ties with a BRICS member and as far as all those developing countries as a whole, and of course, emerging countries particularly. And vice versa, for BRICS club, I also think BRICS now is in the process of expanding its members. Before, it's just 4 countries, very originally, and then added South Africa, becoming a gateway to embrace this African continent as a whole. Suppose Argentina becoming the new member in the BRICS, and that will, with this African continent, is more closer, more strongly, because Argentina is the north of the African continent, and South Africa located in the south of the Africa continent. So one is in the north, another is in the south, which is perfect. This kind of tight arrangement, tight close, this engage with Africa continent as a whole. So which also serve as a BRICS country, more this strong partnership within those South-South cooperation.
Okay, Dr. He,
Mark.
we're going to leave it there. Many thanks for your insights. As always, Dr. He Wenping, Research Fellow at the Institute of West Asian and African Studies at the Chinese Academy of Social Sciences. Thank you, Dr. He. And still to come here on Global Business. Turkey tightens monetary policy. The country's central bank hikes interest rates by 250 basis points to support a weak currency and to battle high inflation.
The world economy as we know it is about to change. Global Business reports highlight emerging markets, developing countries, and dynamic sectors worldwide. We feature top analysts and newsmakers to provide perspectives on every facet of business. From an on-the-ground perspective, we provide you with balanced and objective assessments. Fast, sharp, and insightful. Global Business, only on CGTN.
The Turkish central bank hiked its key interest rate by 250 basis points to 17.5% on Thursday. The interest rate increase comes at a time when Turkey is battling a currency collapse and soaring inflation. Our Michal Badavid has more from Antalya.
Yes, so this decision was basically lower than expected. Market expectation was that the interest rate hike would be about 20%, not to 17.5%. In June, the central bank had raised the interest rate policy from 8.5% to 15%. So that was the major one. This was a smaller one following that major reversal of a policy. Now, in June, the central bank stated that it had begun a monetary tightening process to tackle inflation. And this was a reversal of an unorthodox monetary policy that was supported, backed by Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, who believes that lower interest rates will result in lower inflation. But that really hasn't been the case in Turkey. And that's why when he was re-elected as president, he did appoint a new financial team. Part of that team is a new central bank chief, which is Hafize Gaye Erkan. She's the first woman to take that post. Along with that, we have a new Treasury and Finance Minister, Mehmet Şimşek. Previously, he had different posts, Finance Minister, and so he has been known to believe that Turkey needs to be on more rational ground. So he's the one that's supporting a reversal of Erdogan's policies. So it's going to be interesting to see whether or not he will be able to hold his ground and continue on this path.
And in other headlines we're tracking at this hour. U.S. initial jobless claims fell for the week ending July 15th. That's according to weekly data published by the U.S. Department of Labor on Thursday. Initial jobless claims fell by 9,000 to 228,000 from the previous week's 237,000. Japan's annual export growth saw a modest increase of 1.5% year-on-year in June. That number came in below expectations. Japanese imports, meanwhile, declined sharply by 12.9% on a yearly basis. As a result, Japan's trade balance unexpectedly registered a surplus in June, the first time since July 2021. And Australia's employment figures for June have exceeded expectations for a second straight month, with the unemployment rate remaining steady at a revised rate of 3.5%. The indicator suggests that the country's labor market remains tight, thereby increasing the possibility of further rate hikes. Currently, the market has priced in a 42% chance that the Reserve Bank of Australia, the country's central bank, will resume rate hikes in August, up from 35% prior to the release of the jobs data. Well, coming up with new recipes and preparing old favorites is the job of millions of chefs and kitchens around the world. But one place over in Silicon Valley is adding a new cutting-edge ingredient, AI. Our Mark New explains.
At Cloud Chef's kitchen in Silicon Valley, tech creates a recipe for precision.
As long as you see the green, it's good to go.
You know everything that's being worked on in this kitchen and what stage it's at.
Yeah, definitely. I can transfer from here.
World-class chefs have cooked their recipes here before. Cloud Chef says their cameras, sensors, and artificial intelligence capture thousands of data points during each session, creating a digital recipe that even unskilled cooks can follow.
Even if you look at the best restaurants that you've gone to, they go through like immense lengths of training to just make sure that the quality that you get on a day-to-day basis is the same. It's really, really hard to scale recipes. And the idea is if we can teach computers how to cook, then you can use these computers to recreate recipes from the best chefs from anywhere else in the world.
And now it's time to put the Cloud Chef system to the test. I'm going to be the chef, and I'm cooking sorche pork or mustard pork from West Bengal. All I have to do is press start. Scan the barcode. Dropping in the, I don't know what ingredient that is, do I? It doesn't matter if I don't know what the ingredient is. I just have to keep following directions.
Using an infrared camera over here to determine the temperature inside the pan. And once the oil gets as hot as the chef took it to, it will ask you to do the next step.
After a number of steps, I'm getting close. Oh, the peppers, nice. Straight bottom of the pan. It's watching me here, huh?
While you're doing this, there's a weighing scale below that's measuring how hard you're stirring. There is cameras looking at the pan, segmenting out where things are. I could see that we were monitoring the amount of fat that's been rendered out of the pork by the camera looking at how the size of the pork is changing over the course of cooking, and use that to make a decision whether or not the pork is done or no. And which is why you were seeing it was asking you to stir again and again to make sure that it has a clean reading of different angles of how this pork was.
Look at that. What do you think? Wow. I am proud of myself. Am I hired? Each chef gets paid a percentage of the sales of their dishes. And now there's an additional creative force at the table. The recipe for this chickpea dish was actually created by AI, with a human chef adding the finishing touches. Wow. Very unique flavors.
It has a bunch of traditional flavors in it, but it's unlike anything I've tasted before. AI can look at all of the recipes that were ever invented or discovered by humans and find out patterns from there and understand recipe creation or combinations and pairings and cooking in a way that is not intuitive to humans, but would have taken us another 100 years or another 200 years to discover.
While AI eyes the future, it may also help preserve the past. Nikhil started Cloud Chef because he missed the cooking from his homeland of India. He's even digitized his own mother's recipes, which can now be made exactly how he likes them across the globe. Mark New, CGTN, Palo Alto, California.
And on that very delicious note, we're going to wrap up this edition of Global Business here on CGTN. I'm Michael Wong here in Beijing. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you again next time.